In this lesson, we're going to take a look at filters in WordPress core. If we start in our code editor, the easiest thing to do is do a search for apply filters. We could see that it found more than 1,500 results, and if we start going through, we'll start seeing all of the filters that are applied in WordPress. You'll also notice this convention pretty often where we have apply filters applied and then saved as a variable name, and then later on that variable name will be used within WordPress. So this, for example, is applying the admin title, so the title in the admin header, as well as passing in the title, and after anything that wants to hook into it with apply filters is done, it will be saved and used as admin title. Scrolling through, we see a lot of them here, and I encourage you strongly to really take the time to scroll through and explore what some of these are doing. I'm going to drill down specifically and show you a few of them, but it does really help you get an idea for some of how WordPress works to begin to scroll through and explore some of these on your own. You could also click at any point into these and find out more about them. Let's look at one in particular, apply filters for the title. We can see that there are 14 instances here of where the title is going to be used and first apply filters is run. We could see this happens when they're building out nav menus, when displaying the parent title inside of a post list table, the export feature, more Walker classes in the comment.php file, and you can see in some of these, they're just passing in the post as it's available. Sometimes it's called item title, sometimes it's post title, sometimes it's page post title. And then occasionally they're passing in extra information that could be useful, like the page ID, the post ID, or that item ID. Like I said, take the time to look through all of the apply filters. Even if you don't drill down or understand what every single one is doing, it's a good idea to familiarize yourself with WordPress working in this way. It'll also give you an idea later on of things that you might be able to hook into and modify using add filter. So now let's turn our attention to look for any instance of add filter being used. And what this means is that WordPress is literally hooking into its own filter system. We can see that there are quite a lot of them, a couple hundred here. And in our admin filters, we could see they're hooking into the media gallery, heartbeat. There's Ajax action ones, installer, media, all over the place we see add filter and WordPress itself hooking into certain data, creating their own functions, and modifying the core WordPress functionality or data coming back out. Let's look again at one of them specific, but I encourage you to take a look and scroll through here to see what WordPress itself is filtering as it builds out. Let's drill down again and look at add filter for the title. We saw that the title filter is applied using apply filters quite a number of times, and now we can find that throughout WordPress, WordPress itself is even hooking into the title filter and doing things like escaping the HTML, texturizing, converting characters, trimming, or in the case of the title RSS, so this is a filter set up specifically for RSS feeds, it's stripping out HTML tags as well and doing other things to make sure that it could display properly. So this is really common. If you're going to be using the title in a certain way or in a certain format, you might want to conditionally check it and then do something with it specifically in that context. I want to drill down though into this default filters file because it is interesting. If we come in here, we could see the display filters are saved, and we have a whole bunch of add filters all together nicely formatted going throughout the common things in WordPress where they're added. So we see the title RSS and all the filter or all the functions that are hooked into those, as well as everything here. So this is where WordPress itself in one file, default filters, is setting up all of the filters that it is hooking in all of its own functions into its filter system. Now I'll show you something funny here since we are looking at the title, which is that it appears here and these three functions are hooking in, and then it appears with the title RSS, but then it happens one more time where it says format WordPress, and this is taking the content, the title, and WP title as an array and then adding them all through a function called capital P dangit. And if we search WordPress core for function capital P dangit, we'll find in formatting.php, it's basically going to take whatever it is and replace WordPress spelled incorrectly with the proper spelling. So this just shows us how we could find any function that is hooked in and drill down deeper into it by just searching for function and then whatever that function is. Now, we're not going to look at all of these, but again, I highly suggest you take the time to search for apply filters, see what's there, try drilling down into certain filters that you notice by doing add filter, like we did with add filter the title. We could also look at add filter the content or anything else that you dig up when searching through apply filters. And then take that next step and begin to look at some of the functions that are hooked into it and try to explore what some of them are doing. Now we'll wrap up this little exploration of filters in WordPress core by looking at remove filter. So WordPress itself is adding filters in or hooking into filters with add filter, and then it's also removing them in some instances. In Ajax admin, there are times when it needs to unhook things. In the Customize Manager, we have some things being unhooked, and some of these happen in certain scenarios or certain instances where you no longer want to have one functionality because the user has made a change or something else is different, and so you're going to unhook that functionality. And that's why it's always a good idea, when possible, to write our code in a way that easily hooks into the action and filter system so that if we ever need to or somebody else needs to, we could unhook that easily as well. This is part of what makes WordPress so flexible, and I would suggest going through some of these and looking at the instances where a remove filter might be executed. Now, I'll also mention that there is a filter reference in the WordPress codex that you might also like to explore, so I'll show you that quickly here before we end. So over on the WordPress codex at Plugin API filter reference, we could see a huge list of pretty much all of the filters that are available in WordPress. And like with other ones, they're broken down by different types. So this is an absolutely essential read for you at this point. You need to take the time not only to explore WordPress core, which can be fun and insightful, but you also might not understand a lot of what's going on. But the way we have these broken down by different types, it should make a lot of sense what's going on. You'll also notice with some of these that they're broken up into database reads and database writes. So with authors, for example, there are some that when WordPress is pulling data out of the database, it's going to run it through certain filters. And then also when WordPress is about to save data to the database, it runs it through another series of filters. So this can be important and significant, and you want to keep that in mind and begin thinking in this context that not all filters are when WordPress is about to display something on the front end of the site. It may be that you have a filter that is being applied before WordPress is saving something. So you can modify that data, but you wouldn't necessarily run your own code or actions like you would with an action hook. So at this point, take the time to explore WordPress core with apply filters, add filter, and remove filter, as well as check out this filter reference here in the documentation. This should keep you busy for quite a while, but the more time you put into this, the more you'll be able to tackle complex problems later on because you understand what WordPress is truly capable of.